Sometimes we haven't got a clue, but we strive to be real and true. Bringing fun and dark humor to light. We got a great show for you tonight. Welcome to the show. Will you be a friend or foe? Together here we never fade. Having fun with lives we made. Under our production we glow. Talking to the end of the show. The Baron and Sindee Nyte are live. We are glad you're here tonight. Welcome to the show. Will you be a friend or foe? Together here we never fade. Having fun with lives we made. Under our protection.
Where should I look?
Hi, the camera's over here. There you go. Perfect. Welcome to the Baron and Sindee Nyte show. As you can see, we are doing it a little different this evening. I have a new co-host for the evening because the Baron has decided to become MIA today. So the co-host tonight is
Todd Preston. Todd Preston.
yeah,
The fanfare.
right, exactly. Hi, Jen. As you can see, this is not the Baron. This is Todd Preston. So, Todd, tell them who you are with.
I am with Malice and the Mitten. I am one of the co-hosts. I am one of the writers, and my wife Tracy, she is the host, and unfortunately she can't be here right now. She's in Nevada on a work assignment, but she's going to be tuning in. We'll probably see some of her comments here and there, so excited about that.
There you go. Jen says hi.
Hey,
Tom.
Tom.
Oh, so this should be an interesting evening because usually, as we know, the Baron is the talky talk. I am the one that usually pays attention to you guys out there. So we're gonna mix it up, and hopefully, Todd, you can step it up.
I can step it up.
You gonna fill them boots?
I can.
All right. So we have a awesome show this evening. I have a special guest next to me. This is a author, and you do like true crime mainly.
Historic true crime. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And it is Todd
Tobin.
Tobin.
Yep.
Dang it. See now, Todd Tobin.
Yep.
I got this.
We're like bookends.
You
We
are
are
too.
like bookends.
I know. Hey,
tease.
there we go.
Okay, I got the
Now we're like
tease.
bookends.
Oh my gosh, yes, stop it. You're going to confuse me. Tobin, and I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name just in case.
It's unpronounceable, but it rings. It,
Can I
rhymes
try?
With, yeah, try it.
You?
Close. It rhymes with spook,
Okay,
not pew.
so Bukh.
Yeah.
So I was close.
They wanted to give me a mask for tonight, but I told them that this is, look like an ogre. So plenty of ugly and weird looking myself. So I actually would be an excellent Nosferatu.
Oh,
For those of you who are familiar with classic crime, I mean, look at this face. I mean,
Yeah. So
video
Tracy
killed the radio
Tracy-
star.
right? Tracy from Malice and the Mitten says, "Hey, love Tobin,"
Thank you.
and she is in Nevada. She is not with us this evening. Boo,
Oh.
right?
Boo.
Boo. John says volume sounds great. And you're typing good to hear. Look, I'm letting you guys know. Play by play. This is great.
Oh, we got
Oh.
Jezebel too.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
Hi, Michelle. Oh, and Todd.
Yeah.
Did you say hi to her?
Hello.
Okay, we're good. Awesome. So, Tobin, give us a gist of like your life and what you do, like
Oh.
with your books and beyond.
Okay. So I've always been fascinated with historical true crime. Um, it's actually a really kind of fascinating story about that. If you want me to tell you, I can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I graduated from high school, my older brother graduated with a PhD in psychology, and we celebrated by backpacking across Europe. We ended up so back then. I hate to tell you what date this was because I'm like way older than I look.
This kind of sounds like American Werewolf in
Yeah.
London.
So, yeah. So what happened was we flew back then. Okay, so we flew British Airways through Canada, and back then transcontinental flights, you were at the mercy of what they decided to show you in the cabin, and you were happy to get it. It isn't at all like it is today, where you get like a whole media center in the seat behind you. So on the way to London, we watched maybe 5 hours of cricket highlights. Don't get it. Never will get it. I was weaned on baseball. Don't get cricket.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the cricketers of the world, but it's just not something I'll ever get. So last night, and Europe was very cool as an 18-year-old, by the way, because I could drink legally, right? So we did a lot of pub crawling, and last night we wound up in the East End of London, and it was red brick everything and kind of foggy and kind of what you'd expect Jack the Ripper's London to be like. And in fact, we were drinking the 10 Bells, which is where Jack the Ripper supposedly met some of his victims. So the next morning, and it was a real early morning, we hobbled back into the Heathrow airport, come home, and I faced what I remember being a really, really hard decision at the time. For an 18-year-old, I could watch 5 more hours of cricket highlights, or I could buy a book. I wandered into a little bookstore there in the terminal, and there it was. It might as well have been glowing and blinking. It was The Complete Jack the Ripper by Donald Rumbelow.
Oh.
And if you're ever interested, if you're an amateur ripperologist like I am, that's the book to get. Anyways, I read the whole thing cover to cover on the flight back, and I have been hooked on historic true crime ever since. Now, I did have an interesting opportunity. I know a medical examiner personally, a friend of mine,
Awesome.
and we collaborated on 2 books about forensic pathology. And in order to research those books, I became a volunteer in a morgue, a real life morgue, pardon the pun. And I got my gloves bloody and helped out with autopsies. And my interest in my new knowledge of forensics and my interest in historic crime kind of came crashing together. And I've been writing about historic crime ever since. So there you go. That wasn't exactly succinct, but that's a pretty good overview.
Yes. But that's what got you into writing it then.
Yeah, and I tell you what, my experience in the Lord, I heard some things, saw some things that I wish I could sort of unhear and unsee. I mean, it is really to walk on the dark side
Yes.
of humanity.
Yes.
But I learned a lot. I learned so much about things, and yeah, so I really got kind of fascinated. And I've been writing and writing and writing. So ever since the publication of that first book, I'm on my 20th. I have my 20th coming out in January.
Nice.
Wow.
And what is that one coming out?
I will say this about it. I'm a little
Oh, so you're
cagey.
not telling
I'm
it.
a little cagey about talking about specifics this far ahead of the publications, which is scheduled for January. But I'll tell you, it is the weirdest, most twisted, cold case that I've ever experienced. Ever actually written about. And you know what? I think I've come a step closer to solving it.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I won't lay claim to having solved an 80-year-old cold case, but I got a pretty good theory.
Nice. And that is a passion of mine too. I love like I said, those type of things. I think I would have either become a psychologist, which I probably wouldn't have liked, but or a detective. You know, to actually go to these murders and try to solve them. That is a big thing for me. Hi, Ray.
Yeah, I sometimes think I miss my calling too as
You do,
detective. I do
right?
think though that would be very frustrating because I think what do you do if you can't solve a case? I can pick up, I can do my research and I can write about a case, and at the end of the day, it's done. Sometimes it's solved, sometimes it's not. But I think with detectives, maybe that gets stuck in their craw, that kind of thing, and like we all want closure.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes that just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
in the
it
real
makes
world.
people not sleep at night. And,
Yeah.
you hear of the detectives, that it haunts them.
Well, and we tend to be programmed, I think, by the televised reality of what we see. I mean, when I did all that stuff in the morgue, I was really interested in, I was watching Law and Order Special Victims Unit, and then the medical examiner on that show can do everything. Blood
Right.
spatter expert, entomologist or bug expert. They
Right.
can get river water, East River water,
Yep.
analyzed, DNA analysis, and they can do it in 50 minutes,
Yep.
right? Or 48 minutes in syndication or whatever.
Totally
it happens to be.
unrealistic.
And they solve these
Yeah.
cases, right? But in the real world, it just doesn't work like that.
No.
So sometimes I think that could be very, very frustrating if we were to follow our
Yes.
our
Yes.
alternate lives and become detectives.
Exactly. Exactly. Hi, Carolyn.
Now, do you
See,
think
Tracy says she's down to be a detective too.
the time in the morgue helped you with your research?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm able to look at some of these cases and some of the crime scenes with my knowledge of forensics. See, it's an interesting thing about these really old cases is a lot of times there weren't, the records don't exist.
Right.
So
right.
if they conducted a post-mortem, what they would have called it at the time, sometimes I think those post-mortems were basically just sort of like looking at some exterior features. So for example, in the Helmut Schmidt case, they found one of his victims with a rope around her neck.
Now this is one of your books,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay, so Alex, can you pop that one up?
Yeah, and I think that they found one of his.
Schmidt.
He's a serial killer, and they found one of his victims with a rope still around her neck. And the autopsy, I think, was basically just that she was strangled or garroted to death with this rope. That's about it. Now today, when they do a legal autopsy, they do the whole thing. They take the body apart and they analyze just about everything. But back then, I think that it was enough to determine that she had been strangled to death. End of story. And that autopsy report from 1918, which still does exist, which
Wow.
is interesting. The doctor who did the autopsy was named Dr. Dick, by the way, which is a rather unfortunate last name. But
Right.
it basically is like one page and it's like one line.
Right.
So I think that the experience that I got in the morgue watching autopsy, I did primarily observation, primarily observer. I was able to see the various causes of death and what medical examiners look for and what evidence might be left at a crime scene, and able to apply that to some of the historical cases where the documentation just might not exist.
Right.
If they ever did a post-mortem in the first place.
Right. Now, my research is more folklore of Michigan, but through my research, I see a lot of cross interactions with true crime and folklore, where you didn't have those tools to figure stuff out.
Right.
And back then, people would fill in the blanks.
Well, and part of the interesting thing about writing about historical crime is how different crime scene evidence was handled. I mean, it wasn't uncommon for the public to be allowed to go into crime scenes and look around.
Right.
Right. Which today, I mean, that would be like, oh, you shudder to think about it.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing is like if you go far enough back, like I wrote about a case, 1889, and it was called Prisoner something or other. I can't remember the title of my own book now, but about a guy who killed his mother, the Michigan matricide. And back then, it was assumed that the eyeball worked just like a camera. Right. So the last thing a murder victim saw was burned into her
Imprinted.
eyes.
Ah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a technical name for it. I can't remember what exactly is. Maybe forensic optography or something. It's a pseudoscience. So there's no validity whatsoever. But you have all these early crime scene detectives, and what they're doing is they're positioning these tripod cameras over the eyeballs to grab a photograph. And then it becomes kind of like a Rorschach ink blot. What do I see in the pupil?
Right.
When there is no scientific evidence behind that whatsoever. And of course, this is assuming that the victim died with his, or in this case, her eyes open.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of that kind of a weird, very, very different
Yeah.
from how we deal with things today.
It's
Doing
like
all the talking
like
here.
in the Old West, you let a blue jay peck out the infection, and you'll be all right.
yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, right. So no, to me it's very intriguing. Did you show them your cup? Show them your cup. It's funny. That's his gift from me. for today. No, like I said, it's always fascinating to me the way, especially when you think of how it was back in the day with trying to solve a case to what it is now, and they only need a minute, even like a scale of your skin, and they can find you. So all you people out there trying to commit crimes, don't do it.
But you know what is interesting from a historical standpoint?
Hi, Sasquatch.
From a historical standpoint, is that the crime scene investigative techniques have changed drastically over the years, but I don't know that people really have changed all that much.
No,
You know, so you had men committing, husbands committing horrible crimes on their wife, crime passionnel, the French call it, right? And I think that those same things happen today for the same reasons. It's just how they suss out what happened is much different.
Right.
yes,
Right.
and that's what is funny with that whole thing is you think people would learn, and especially like now, there's always in a criminal's mind that aspect that I can get away with this, I can do it, because I watch the ID channel. I know what they're looking for, and it's completely untrue. There's so many different things that
Yeah.
there's no way at this point to
I-
necessarily get away with it. If you do, it's luck.
I read something about this just recently. That it was an article dedicated to the idea that it would be so much harder to be a serial killer today, simply because the forensic techniques have changed so drastically, have improved so much that they're much easier to catch than they were before.
Mhm.
I don't know about that though. I mean, I have mixed feelings about that because I think if you take a genius level IQ, and a lot of serial killers are historically very smart individuals, I think that becomes sort of like the absolute nightmare of law enforcement.
It is, but in the same token, usually a psychopath with the genius IQ is too confident,
Overly confident.
and that's where they mess up.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that they can't. There's always a way that somebody figures out how to skirt it, or something happens where it works in their favor. But I truly do believe that with DNA and stuff like that, it is a lot harder.
My research bears that out. I mean, they always make, it seems to be, they always make one critical error. And
Yeah,
usually
always.
it's usually like what the Greeks would have called harmatia. It's like hubris,
Yep.
right? Which is exactly what you're saying. I'm so good, they're never going to catch me,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So they do something, or they just become lax, and they do something that causes them to get caught.
Yep.
It's kind of like that story.
The arrogance.
It's kind of like that story of Odysseus. I don't know if you've seen the movie lately, but from the Odyssey, where he blinds the Cyclops, and as they're escaping, he taunts the Cyclops, and the Cyclops can hear him, right? So they start throwing rocks at these guys that are trying to escape the island, and that's kind of the prototypical example of hubris that I think I've seen a lot of times with the serial killers I've written about. They're taunting, they're yelling, they're
Yep.
shouting, and the police can hear figuratively.
Now,
Yeah.
a lot of times it seems like they kind of like the thrill of being detected, being found out, and
Well, they do.
they
Yeah.
thrive on that.
So I hear you say that, and the first thing that comes up to me is the lipstick killer of Chicago, who wrote in lipstick, hence the name, something along the lines of "Catch me, or I'm going to do it again."
Yeah.
Right. And I think you see that sometimes with serial killers.
Well, Zodiac killer, same thing.
Yeah,
Let's
taunting the police.
let's
with
put this cryptic message out and see
Yeah.
if they can figure it
well,
out.
and that's a great example of what we're talking about, because put this cryptic message out that I'm, so much smarter than you are. You can't figure out what it is.
Yeah.
It feeds right into the ego.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they continue to do that and get bolder and bolder. Oi, Lucas. Sorry. He says oi all the time, so I have to say it.
Kind of like British.
Oi.
Oi,
Oi.
Oogie, oogie, oogie.
oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yep.
We're repositioning. Hold on. While we do that, formaldehyde says, I think about stuff like that a lot
How would that be?
sometimes. In cases where there are no other witnesses, only the killer and victim knows what happened, and one of them is dead, and the other can tell you whatever they want. So yes, it's a he said, she said situation. Um, But again, back in the day, it was so much easier that without all the things that they have nowadays.
Well, and I think that's so. This is formaldehyde,
yes,
right? I think formaldehyde. This is where modern forensics comes in. So you might have, say, a blood spatter. Say, a killer who's the only one who has seen the victim because there's no other witnesses might say this, but then there's a blood spatter pattern that indicates something else entirely happened.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the crime scene. In the past, maybe in situations like that, there were a lot of killers who got away with it. But today, with the crime scene analysis, has progressed to the point where it becomes
immensely.
much harder
Yeah.
to,
Yeah,
they get
can
caught
tell.
up.
Yeah, they can tell the direction that the gun was aimed. They can, any of that. Like you said, with the blood splatter as well. How
Well, there was a very, very interesting and famous case that happened in West Michigan, where I'm from, involving a lady who, she was on the outs with her husband. He had a girlfriend, and he was sleeping on the couch. She was depressed. She was taking antidepressants. And he hears a gunshot go off and goes into the bedroom, and she finds she shot herself. His wife shot herself in the head. So he takes the gun out of her hand, and he calls 911. Now, it tells the police exactly what I just told you right now. It was suicide. She was depressed. She was taking antidepressants. Their marriage was ending. It's a kind of a believable scenario. But when they took her down to the morgue for an autopsy, the forensics showed something entirely different. So what happened was, at the crime scene, it was indicated, and this is easier to show you in my head, all right? Single entrance wound here, 2 exit wounds. Well, that can happen because the bullets that non-law enforcement use are jacketed bullets. So they have a core that fits in a jacket. And what happens is when they hit something hard like bone, they can split. So it's not all that uncommon for them to hit skull, single entrance wound, 2 exit wound. Fair enough?
absolutely.
That doesn't, but they take the body to the morgue. Now, the last thing they do at the morgue is they open up the skull. And it's kind of a grotesque procedure, but what they do, and again, this is easy to show you on my head. Bald is beautiful, don't forget. Cut here, pull the face down, make an incision in the skull, and take out the brain. So
You trying to gross out my people? I'm kidding.
after seeing this place, I don't know if I can shock you.
No,
to
me,
be
no.
honest with you.
No.
I'll tell you, we're at the museum. What is the museum called formally?
The Other Side Paranormal
The Other Side
and Mortuary Science Museum.
Come here in REO Town in Lansing. If you like this kind of thing, these are your people here. So I don't know that I can shock you, but anyways.
No, me, no.
So they take, so when the medical examiner assistant, takes down the scalp, they find that there's not just 2 entrance wounds, but there's 2 exit wounds. Right? Well, okay. The only way that could happen is if she shot herself in the head twice.
Which is impossible.
Well, it is possible if there's a misfire. But what would happen is, if the gun is here and it goes off, the second shot, the hand would start to pull back a little bit. The second shot would not be a near contact wound. They can tell because of the scorching around the wound what's a tight contact and a near contact, right? Well, the autopsy indicated that what she had done is she had pressed the gun barrel against her head, pulled the trigger, moved it, and then another tight contact, pressed the barrel against her head a second time. That's impossible. Impossible. All right? So there's a case in point where the forensic evidence completely undermined the defense of the husband who claimed that his wife had committed suicide. And as a result of this, he went to prison for life.
Yep. And I love, this is why I like watching that stuff or learning that stuff and hearing of that stuff. I'd love to. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, I did it. It didn't happen. Sorry. Let's move on. John says, I did autopsies for a few years. He has a funny story.
I know I loved you, John. Baron, I wish you were here.
Right?
But I get it. I mean, life comes in the way sometimes. But perhaps what we can do is sometimes schedule another date and hoist one and talk about true crime.
Yes.
Think about it.
See, it's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So he did good with you.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
This is my jam.
All right.
Yeah, nothing against MUFON or anything like that, UFOs and stuff. It's not my jam. This is my jam.
This is my jam. I mean,
This is what I like.
and all of us, I suppose I want to emphasize this at this point too. All of us here, I mean, we're interested in, I think I speak for you, and we're interested in true crime. We're not glorifying it
No.
by any way, shape, or form. We're interested in
It's
a way
intriguing.
it's intriguing, but it's also a way to try to solve old cases. But I think even more important than that, like with the writing I do, it's a way to create a cautionary tale to maybe help prevent these crimes from happening again in the future, because there are patterns in
Right.
criminology.
Exactly.
You know, that's how the FBI comes up with the profiles, right? We wouldn't have a concept of the FBI profile if there wasn't, in fact, patterns.
But have you noticed what I've noticed with a lot of the patterns is they're very similar. Like there is a lot of cross utilization in the profiles.
Let me return back to a book I talked about earlier about the Michigan matricide. So the man killed his mother, and a matricide is a very, very rare crime. Patricide, the killing of a father, isn't. I mean, think about old Europe, where sonnies knocked off daddies to get the keys of the kingdom.
Yep.
Women couldn't inherit, so it was much less common. Although Nero, I think, killed his mother, but in the 18th, 19th century, matricide unheard of. But the matricide cases have a very, very specific MO. I mean, here's how specific it is. The victim, the mother, is always running interference for her son. He gets in trouble, she gets him out of trouble. Okay, sometimes this is referred to as a lawnmower parent, right? Mow down everything in the way of the kid.
Yep.
The crime is always, get this, the crime is always done in the mother's bedroom.
Very true.
Which is true of Robert Irving Latimer, the case I'm referring to in 1889. Killed his mother in her own bedroom, and there's no attempt to cover up the crime. So instead of taking the body to a river or a lake, you know, in this case, we're in Lansing area, take the body to the Red Cedar River, weigh it down, right, which would be attempting to conceal it. No attempt to conceal it whatsoever. And that, if you look at matricides, that's the pattern, right? So old matricides, new matricides, they all tend to have that same kind of pattern. Sometimes, I tell you what, it's the saying that I love to refer to over and over and over again. It's George Santayana's, those, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but those who are ignorant of history are doomed to repeat it.
Right.
And you see these patterns. It's amazing
Yeah.
how similar.
And I totally agree. And when in today's culture, with them wanting to suppress history, we are doomed to repeat. So I definitely agree with that one.
Now,
For
what would you say the reasoning behind the matricide happening in the bedroom being? Would it be because that's naturally a safe place for a mother to feel like she's retreating, she's safe, and therefore maybe caught off guard?
No, can I interject on that?
Yeah,
one?
go ahead.
I think for the matricide, it's the person doing the killing, the son or daughter that's killing the mother. They know that's their safe haven. Not to mention, I feel like it's an easier kill because if they're sleeping
Yeah,
or whatever,
that's what
Which
I
is
was-
what happened
Yeah,
with
that's what I would get
happened
to.
with Latimer. His mother was sleeping. He tiptoed. But I mean, if psychologically, and I'm not a psychologist, I don't even play one on TV.
Yeah.
But if I was, I might say something about the fact that the mother's bedroom represents all that motherhood is. And matricides really, in some ways, are killing the motherhood, right? They're killing that aspect of
Well,
their
and you
life.
say mattress side,
Matricide.
so
That's good.
bedroom.
That's
I don't
Love
have
it.
any words for that. So we wish you were here too, Carolyn. So talking about that, when we're talking about matricide, you have a couple books that actually hit, and since I'm all by my lonesome here, even though I have you, Todd,
Buh.
you know, no hate, but you have a couple books based on women. So you have, I'm going to have Alex pop one of those up so I get the title correct. And then we'll talk about that one and then the other one because we'll run out of time if we don't do it.
Okay.
Which one is that one? The Wicked Women of Detroit. This is one of your books. So tell me about this one. So this is, I'm going to assume where women are the culprits. Because
Yes.
I think the stereotype is it's mainly men, but there are women out there that are psychopaths as well.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that all of the particular. So the book is dedicated to a number of cases of felonious females who committed crime for one reason or other. And I don't know, psychopaths, some of them certainly were, but they weren't all psychopaths. Some of their crimes are strictly motivated by money, right? And sometimes by other reasons. There's a case in there, for some reason or other, I can't get it out of my mind. I'm not quite sure why, but it involves a woman who um, she she was an older German immigrant, and she fell head over heels in love with another German immigrant, and she kept putting him off and putting him off. He kept trying to persuade her to marry him, you know, kept putting him off, and then finally, on a Thursday, she lived with her brother. On a Thursday, the brother died, and before the brother died on Sunday, a few days earlier, she agreed to marry this guy, and so the brother dies. She has the brother buried, and she turns out and marries this Nicholas Schweistal on Sunday. Okay,
So three days after.
the brother died.
Okay.
So Rosa Schweistal lives on Woodward Avenue, I believe, with her brother. On Sunday, she agrees to marry Nicholas Schweistal. I think her name was Rosa Longer, actually. Thursday, the brother dies. She buries the brother. Sunday, she becomes Mrs. Schweistal, Mrs. Rosa Schweistal. Now, too late for Nicholas, but he learns that maybe the brother was not a brother, but husband number one.
Oh.
And that's exactly what happened. That was not her brother, but it was her husband. That's why she kept putting off Schweistal all this time. So the police investigate, and they find boxes and boxes of white arsenic in her possession. She poisoned. She gets arrested, and unlike, like a lot of people would say, "Oh, I have this excuse, or I didn't do it," she calmly says, "I absolutely did it." Right? And she goes to prison for life, which back then was 20 years, the possibility of parole. But she was quite a bit older at the time. Now think about what she did. She says she's going to marry Nicholas Schweistal on a Sunday. Now, I don't want to give the audience out there too many clues here, but arsenic poisoning, if it's done correctly, mimics the same symptoms as influenza.
Yep.
And so it's kind of, and other things. So it's kind of a popular weapon, especially for women, in early American history. It's got to be
Well,
introduced in food.
Yeah, because it's one of those things that, you don't think about it unless you know the person and go, seems like this is a little bit of foul play. You might
Right.
want to check the blood,
Right. Now,
type.
it has to be introduced in food, and I think that bits and pieces can float at the bottom of, can be at the bottom of the glass. So it's best served in something really thick, like porridge or eggnog, or a really thick cup of coffee, really dark cup of coffee. So think about what she did. She said she would marry Nicholas Schweistal, and almost immediately, if the poisoning is introduced in a little bit at a time, one massive blow would cause all kinds of eyebrows to raise. But if you give little doses, by the time it builds up, and a person will have a lethal dose of it. So she started poisoning her husband almost immediately. By Thursday, she had killed him. Sunday, she walked down the aisle again. That's called efficiency, right? So why did she do this? Well, I found the court records, and it turns out that Nicholas Schweistal had quite a bit of problem with drinking. And she complained that he was drinking up basically his paycheck in lager. Now, here's what's interesting. Back in the 1800s, when this case took place, a husband could legally beat his wife with a stick as long as the stick wasn't thicker in circumference than his thumbs.
Still a pretty big stick.
Hence
Right.
the term rule of thumb. I got little hands. Don't
Yeah.
judge me.
Yeah.
But
Oh, now you did it. I'm judging.
yeah, so you got, a big stick. So what if you have an angry drunk? what if this Nicholas Schweisthal is an angry drunk? And the fact that she used the alcohol, and again, she was speaking in German, so some gets lost in translation, I think. But she's talking about how her husband drank too much, and she poisoned him. And I think that what happened is I think that she was afraid that the next time he got drunk, he might beat her to death.
Right.
And back then, okay, I know what the obvious question is. Why didn't she just divorce the skunk? Well, the problem with that, as I understand, is divorce, although obtainable, essentially made a woman a pariah in her community. There was very much the feeling that, like, why can't she keep her man?
Yeah.
Right?
What'd you do?
Terribly chauvinistic at our terms, but back then that was the way it was. So to protect herself, she poisons again. And that is not to say she didn't just want to poison him to marry the next guy. That could be. There wasn't a life insurance policy here, but she certainly wasn't a psychopath, right?
Yeah.
I guess is where I'm going with this.
Right.
And what's interesting about her is when she went to the prison, which was the only prison for women at the time, was the Detroit House of Corrections. When she went into the DHOCO, she became a celebrated figure. They called her the mother of the house. Younger inmates looked to her for advice. And when she died, they had a ceremony for her right there in the cell block, which was unheard of at the time. So not all the women that I would consider the wicked women of Detroit were in fact psychopaths. But then you have other cases that certainly were.
Right.
Well, and that's what I said. To me, I guess when I think of a psychopath, I literally think, there's those things in their head, like what are they thinking? And there's a psychological reason to what they're doing. Now, I'm not obviously a psychologist either, so I don't have technical terms down very well. I'm going to backtrack just a sec here. John says he can tell that I'm in my element and this is my jam because I love true crime. See? So true. Hi, Haywire. Thanks for stopping in. Hopefully you catch that before you have to get back off.
Hi, Haywire.
Yes. And Becker says, I enjoyed the story of Nellie.
Oh, Nellie Pope, you're talking about. So Becker.
Now, is this going to the other book that
No,
you
so
have?
Becker, have you read Wicked Women of Michigan?
It'll take him a minute. We're
Take
a
a
little
minute?
lag. Yep.
Okay. So I think you're referring to Nellie Pope, which I think, and I'm sometimes asked this question, who is the wickedest woman in Michigan history? I think Nellie Pope is on that list. I think she's got a good claim. Now, what she was is she was the younger trophy wife of a dentist named Horace Pope. There was quite a bit of an age difference. They had a 6-year-old daughter named Bernice. He had a dental studio in the ground floor of a 2-story brick building on Woodward Avenue in Detroit. Nellie, she picked up 2 very bad habits. One was the love of opium. Now, this is interesting because opium was available, as was heroin and cocaine and all kinds of things, over the counter in 1895. And you can see how this would happen. She has a headache, right? She goes to the pharmacist. Oh, and by the way, you couldn't buy a beer on a Sunday or any cocktail on a Sunday, but you could go to the pharmacy and get heroin any day of the week. Figure that one out.
Right.
Or coke. They give kids cocaine rubbing on their gums when they were teething. Oh,
Right.
what a world. Anyways,
Okay, so he says, my eyes are too bad to read. I listen to audiobooks.
Okay.
And Nellie Bly? is
no,
what he-
so Nellie, you're reading Nellie Pope, and I'm going to finish the story anyways because I started on it. It's a great story, all right, from Wicked Women of Michigan. So Nellie, you see how this happened, right? She has a headache one day. She goes to the pharmacist and is prescribed tincture of opium or paregoric or laudanum. And she goes home, she takes a little bit, and headache goes away, and damn, that feels good. So the next day, she doesn't have a headache, but maybe she's not having a great day, so she takes a little nip from the bottle. The next day after that, now you start to hear the justifications. I can control it anytime I want to, but I'm going to take a little nip anyways because, boy, does it feel good. Before you know it, you have an addict, in our terms, and they would have called that an opium eater. Now, Nellie picked up a second bad habit, and that was a love affair with a young barber by the name of Billy Brousseau, who shared her love of opium. Now, Nellie was a very, very persuasive individual. She had her older dentist husband wrapped around her finger, and she coaxed him, and I won't, you could imagine how, to get him to let her lover move in with them on the guise that she needed help around the house. And the cuckolded dentist wound up sleeping on the chair in the kitchen. Now, according to the records, the newspaper articles at the time, it was a dark and rainy night. And poor Horace Pope hears this shriek, this curdling shriek coming from the bedroom. It wakes him up, jars him out of sleep, runs into the bedroom, and there's Nellie sitting on the bed with Bernice, the 6-year-old, cowering in the corner. What he doesn't see is Billy Brousseau behind the door with an axe. And Billy hit him so hard that it took the top of his head off. Now, we talk about, now Billy's high. He's high all the time. We talk about them making one error, right? Billy's error is he sets the axe down next to the body. He goes to find the nearest police constable, and that was part of the plan. Tells the constable that the dentist found him in flagrante delicto with his wife, and he was chopping wood at the time. The dentist took a shot at him, missed. He hit the dentist in the head, in the front of the head, and accidentally killed him. He had no choice. Come back to the axe. The police take a look at that axe. Now, it turns out that Dr. Horace Pope was bald everywhere except the half-moon ring of hair behind his head. That axe head, which he left right next to the body, had coagulated blood on it with hair. Here's where the forensics come in. That's all they needed to determine that he tiptoed up behind the dentist and hit him in the back of the head. That was his critical error. They arrest him, and he's climbing the walls for his medicine, right? And they basically tell him, if you fess up, we'll give him your double, which he does. And he tells them that Nellie Pope engineered the whole thing. She was like a director in a play. Engineered the whole thing. And so they both went down for murder one. 20 years with the possibility of parole.
And seeing again, that's the other thing with women, the sexual appeal. So, like, what is it? Moth to a flame?
Yeah. Or
Type of thing.
The use of sexual...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to say Kim Cheek here says, I love this discussion. Tobin, you are a fascinating speaker. Your knowledge is amazing. Listening down here on the hot and steamy Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Hi, Kim.
Wow.
It's really good to hear from you. I'm glad you're listening, and I hope someday to get down there. I think we need to do a family. Kim is my cousin. I think we need to do a family reunion down there in your neck of the woods and get together and
I'm coming.
hoist a drink or two every now and again, because I miss the Florida Bukes like you can't imagine.
Formaldehyde says, on a dark and stormy night.
You know, sometimes it actually does happen. It sounds like a cliche, but sometimes it literally happens on a dark and stormy night.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say.
You know, it's funny, when you first started talking about the wife claiming that her husband was the brother, it immediately made me think of the Lonely Hearts Killers. Because that was their ruse to attack these other...
Well, and you talk about history repeating itself. The original Lonely Hearts Killer, I think, in Michigan, was this fellow named Helmut Schmidt. And Helmut Schmidt was married. He had a wife and a 17-year-old daughter. Now, he baited women, lonely women, through matrimonial advertisements in New York newspapers, already being married. And there is some evidence that he introduced his victims to his wife and daughter, but instead of presenting them as his wife and daughter, which would be really odd, he presented them as his sister. Now, that makes a lot of sense, because a woman who's going to a place, in this case, her name was Augusta Steinbach, and she was coming from New York to Michigan to marry a guy she'd never laid eyes on before. You imagine that she might be a little bit suspect. But if the sisters are there, well, that would do a lot to take away the suspicion. Well, it turns out that, 30 years later, Raymond Fernandez and Martha Beck, the Lonely Hearts Killers, did the same thing. They were lovers, not married, but lovers. And Martha Beck presented herself as the sister of Raymond Fernandez for that very same reason, to ingratiate herself, to throw off any suspicion whatsoever to their victims to be. So, and again, we talk about history repeating itself in sometimes eerie ways. In fact, those two cases, Helmut Schmidt in 1918 and the Lonely Hearts in 1949, are so similar. If I was of the mind, I would say almost like his past lives, right?
Reincarnated.
Yeah. But you know, Martha Beck was an avid reader of true crime, and it would be hard to imagine that she didn't come across this story.
Right.
Or the alternative is these are very manipulative people, and they know exactly what buttons to push, and they know how to push them. And as a result, you see these patterns recur in crime.
Absolutely. So before we run out of time, I'm going to put the other book up, The Killer Women of Michigan, since we are talking about women in crime. And I find it fascinating because, like we discussed, that typically it is men are the majority typically. Women obviously have issues as well. So these books that you have, tell them where they can purchase your books for one. And I'll have him put the website in the comments, and then a little bit about this book that is up.
Okay. So my books are available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. I've heard that they're available at Sam's Club, Target, various places. So they're not really hard to find. I do have a small quantity of books available that I can sell to you if you're interested through my website, which
That he just posted.
Yep, TobinBukh.com. If you tell me what I just have I have the latest books, the latest two, which Trying Temperance Neely and Jails of Michigan. And if you tell me what you'd like, I'll personalize them anyway, and I will then mail them to you at my own cost. And the price out the door is $20 for that. I also want to add that I am available if you enjoyed this, and I have specific speaking, specific presentations available, and I give them all over the state of Michigan, libraries, historical societies, other groups, and I've given them virtually across the United States as well. So if you would like to hear a little bit more of me, or you want to book me, please contact me at TobinBukh.com, Tobin@TobinBukh.com, and we can set something up. Because if you haven't been able to tell by now, I inherited Mama's gift of gab.
Absolutely. Gotta love it. Kim says, indeed we do need a reunion, cuz fly down here. I can show you a great time. We can drink and roam the casinos. Let's do the Mississippi Gulf Coast reunion.
Hey, Kim, that's a date.
Right?
I would love to see you all again. Miss you very, very much.
Nice. John says we need to get your book in our shop. That sounds like a plan for sure.
Yeah, John, you know, if you haven't been able to tell, I'm a fountain of useless information about this stuff.
It
So
is not useless.
if you would ever like to have me again, just all you have to do is ask. And I don't want to push myself on you or anybody, but I'm available.
I'm all for it. Book him. This is my jam.
That's right. And Tracy Tobin already said he would love to be a guest on our podcast. So.
Anytime, Tracy.
Yep.
And in fact, I can't plug it enough. Malice in Michigan, my friends. Check it out.
Malice in the Mitten. Well,
Malice in the Mitten.
There you go.
God, I tell you,
That's
I
okay.
think it's my gimlet here
It
talking.
is.
Here.
I bet the little googly eyes are getting to you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Becker says the book was 10 days in a madhouse. My bad for the wrong name.
I'm not sure what that means.
I think it's a book that you didn't write. So
I think that's probably right. But you got the story of Nellie Pope anyways, which is, you know, I mean, I got a bit of a crush on her. Don't tell my wife.
How rude.
6'4", statuesque beauty.
Wow.
Sometimes you're right about these ladies, you know, you kind of develop a little bit of a schoolboy crush on them, although I'm not sure that, you know, I'd want to be with a Nellie Pope, mind you. But
sometimes you just got to bat the lashes and, you know, sway the hips a little.
are you saying that from experience?
Sure am. Sure am. Not even going to tell you why, but yeah.
Hey, do you like Cindy's outfit, by the way? Is it the greatest thing? How cool is that? These are my people. Next time, if I'm ever invited back, I'm coming. Well, I already told you why I don't wear a mask, because I'm sufficiently ugly as it is. But I'm going to wear an outfit. I'm going to maybe to dress up like a prisoner or something.
There you
Oh,
go. That'd
that'd
be
be fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
Get them jail stripes.
You got that.
Right. Michelle Erskine wants to know if you will be at Oddity Fest in Charlotte.
I will not be there this year, sadly, but I'll be there in spirit.
Right. Special book signing at our shop.
Yes,
How about that?
absolutely.
See?
Come down here
Ooh.
anytime.
Ooh. Tempt me with a good time. All right. Awesome. Yay. I love this episode.
Yeah.
Thank you. from
Cindy
Elden
always
Hayes.
looks amazing.
Thank
See?
you, Caroline.
Yes.
So yeah, we are getting towards the end. Is there anything that you have coming up for the folks here that do want to come and meet you and get your books or have a signed or picture?
So I tend to be really popular in October. I can't figure that one out. I
It's
was,
spooky season.
Exactly.
I was complaining to my wife the other day. I'm really only popular in 1 month. And it's
At least
October.
you're popular.
Well, here's
though.
what she said. Here's what she said. My wife, very intelligent. She says, "Yeah, what are you complaining about? You're popular for 1 month." And she said, "It's a 31-day month. What are you complaining about?" Right? So I guess that's it.
Right.
But as
John,
we're-
don't tell me what to do.
So what I'm getting to is that I'm going to be touring the state, presenting. My latest presentation is on occult crimes in Michigan, very Halloween oriented, and you'll learn about all kinds of interesting things. And so check my TobinBukh.com website, and you'll see a schedule. I might be coming to a library near you. As far as book signings are concerned, I don't have anything scheduled. Right, I don't do a lot of book signings.
I think you
should.
should.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of them. I would do them.
We have
if I was
amazing space
asked.
here. We're gonna have to.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to set it up.
We could do an event.
Yeah.
I could give my presentation on what was I just talking about? See, again, this is
The book signing presentation.
This is what Alzheimer looks
The
like,
cult.
I guess.
The
The
cults.
start.
The cults, yeah. I could do my presentation on the cults, and we could have maybe.
Oh, I like them too.
We could maybe have like something red, like red beer, or
Oh.
can you imagine that? A bar.
You could
I
do
don't,
that.
you probably
So like
don't
St.
have a liquor
Patty's Day?
license,
No, we
but
do not.
so we could.
But I have
like-
found we can get a day one.
Yeah, so we could and we could have Halloween themed food. Everything blood.
Doesn't have to be Halloween. If that's your busiest month, we need to go outside that.
Yeah, we get September, October,
Exactly.
September,
November.
I am available. So I love indie bookstores. So you indie bookstore owners out there, if you're looking for a guy to come do a book signing, let me know, because I am.
But we're
available.
first. We have to be
You
your
were first. Are you
book
kidding?
signing.
Hey, you made me a cocktail.
That's
Okay.
right.
You won't
see?
get that at a
You-
bookstore.
no,
No.
you made me a cocktail.
You might
and
get coffee.
and
but
you gave me a cup. And I'm getting a T-shirt too. These little things are not lost on me. These mean a lot.
Right. Don't forget.
I will not forget.
Okay. So let me see if we got much love, everyone. Jen. A vampire's kiss, my favorite drink to get. So we will definitely talk about this after the
Yeah,
show.
let's get all of our friends that are like-minded together and have a great big,
That's easy to do.
yeah, that would be fun. Bring some people into the shop. I tell you what, there's some very, very interesting things in the shop. I mean, really interesting. And this is coming from a guy who knows some pretty odd stuff, right? So yeah, very, very cool stuff. And the Baron and Sindee show, after having done it, amazing. So
Great.
those of you out there, if you have not already, check out this show. This is fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, this
we
is fun.
enjoyed having you. Like I said, this is definitely up my alley. Would be amazing if you came to South Bend, Indiana. We'll talk to your local bookstore there and have them hire him and bring him down.
Yeah, all you have to do is just talk to your local bookstore. As it turns out, I live not far from South Bend. So if you just contact me by email, Tobin at TobinBukh.com, and you can find the link on my website. I'll come down and, yeah, that'll be fun. We'll jam a little bit.
Jam.
Yeah.
Do jam.
Malice and Mitten says, "I'll have what Tobin's having, please." Do I act like I'm inebriated? This is a gimlet. So
Right.
it's very simple. A very liberal portion of vodka, lime juice, and I put some soda water in this.
Yes.
And it's pretty damn good.
Taste piney.
Yeah, I'm not going to. It does taste piney, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a very piney kind of taste.
It is very piney. So with that being said, thank you folks for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you very much for tuning in. Our next live feed in a couple weeks, we do not have a guest at the moment. We do have, along with Malice and the Mitten, we will both be at Frankenfest
Frankenfest in Detroit.
Yep. And do you remember the date on that one?
It is September 19th, I want to say.
Yes. It is September 19th. So again, if you're closer to the Detroit area, we will be there. We will actually have the museum there. And you guys will be there with your stuff as well. Have I seen the DMs? Yeah, like lots of them. I just have to be careful. They're AI, so sometimes that doesn't work. And as always, guys, if you want to support us, there are many different ways. Or if you want to sponsor us in any way, get a hold of the manager, John, and he will let you know the different ways that you can. Is there any last words?
Love, peace,
Love. Happiness.
happiness. You got it.
All right. And as always, keep it real.